Hi guys, Josh here obviously. Just a bit of a disclaimer. The first couple minutes of this podcast are gone. Not because they were corrupted, but because I'm an idiot. And I didn't actually start recording till like 10 minutes in. So that's why that happens. And I wanted to let you guys know, here at the beginning, I mentioned it at the end of the podcast, but we wanted to explain why there hasn't been a podcast for a week. My school's just been crazy. So we're making it so that we're doing a podcast every 2 weeks from now on. So I know that this probably messes with many of your life plans, many of your goals. It might send a couple of you into a dark place. Feel free to reach out to us if that occurs, preferably through Patreon. But I hope that despite this bad news, this episode can help cheer you up. So yeah, without further ado, just know that from now on, it's every 2 weeks, coming out on Mondays, and know that you don't get to see our beautiful faces for the first couple minutes because Josh is an idiot. So yeah, without further ado, to the episode. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Futon Talks. I am Joshua Castro. I am one of the co-hosts of Ye Olde Futon Talks podcast, and I'm joined, as always, by my best friend, by perhaps my personal butler himself, Christopher Midling.
That's right, Master Bruce.
Oh my gosh. Wow, Michael Caine. I thought you were Chris.
Oh.
That was so good. You do like the best Michael Caine impression. It makes me...
Surprisingly.
Makes me feel very warm inside. It's not surprising. You're a man of incredible talents.
That's right.
Alfred.
Trying.
You gotta give me some advice here. How did you catch the jewel thief?
Burn the forest down.
It's so good. It's eerie. Is this what it's like to be Christopher Nolan? Just surrounded by Michael Caine at all times?
Yeah.
Well, guys, for you eagle-eared, I don't know if eagles can hear well, but in this metaphor they can. But anyway, for you eagle-eared viewers out there, listeners, you may have caught that little quotey quote there and picked up from the image that you clicked on that you're listening to a podcast about The Dark Knight, a movie that many hail as the greatest superhero film ever made, the greatest Batman film ever made, and a lot of people hail as just the best movie ever made. Interestingly enough, I've heard this claim many times, and I don't think it's a ridiculous one. You know, I think you could say this is the best movie made about a lot of movies and be like, oh, that guy's a psycho. But I understand why someone would think that about this movie. Not to put all my cards on the table, I like this movie a lot. And Chris, I think you like this movie a lot. Sometimes,
I like this movie a lot.
Good. When a movie gets this popular, sometimes it's hard to gauge what Chris's reaction will be.
Sometimes it makes my jaw clench and I get angry. It's like I used to like this, but now it's too popular.
Oh my gosh.
Gnashing of teeth.
The gnashing of teeth. You're just part of the crowd now, Chris.
Nothing you can do about it.
That's right.
Something's good, something's good.
That's right. And this is good. But before we get into it, before we talk about what we're supposed to, or as is tradition for us, we're going to start off with a little bit of a side segment just to bother everybody. And
I like that.
Chris, I had a question for you. This is not a big segment. This is simply a question because I'm excited to talk about it. What have you been watching recently? Sometimes you go through droughts where there's nothing to watch. There's no TV show and you just suffer. But what have you been watching? Is there a TV show, a series of movies, a single movie? What's been on your plate?
Yeah, I've been watching Better Call Saul.
Oh,
as it airs on AMC Plus. And then watching a lot of just Aspen has had Breaking Bad on her phone for like the last 3 weeks, so I've seen the show like 4 times now. It's great. Trying to think of anything else. What have I been watching? Movie wise, been pretty dry. I want to watch No Country for Old Men again because I'm reading the book right now.
Hello, I need to read that. How is it? How does it compare to The Road? And not just like different in quality, but like the way it's written,
writing,
like how
the way
it's
written, it's pretty much the same. It's actually there might be less grammar in No Country for Old Men.
Wow, that's impressive.
Less punctuation.
Oh my god.
Everything might seem like a run-on sentence.
Oh, good old McCarthy.
Yeah, it's great. But actually, I've been really wanting to watch Crimes of the Future when it comes out, and Men is another movie I really want to watch, but they're not. Men's out. Crimes of the Future isn't out yet. I think it's 2 more days from now.
Wow.
Yeah.
You are a true man of cinema, my friend.
Yes.
Scorsese would be very happy with you.
I watch Crimes of the Future and The Batman.
The Batman. Man, my tastes are more plebeian than yours, perhaps. I watched a great movie this last weekend. Don't know if you've heard of it, but Tom Cruise's Top Gun Maverick. Dude, it's so good. And the best part is, if you see it in theaters, Tom Cruise personally thanks you for watching in theaters. So I felt pretty good about that.
Wait, like on the screen, he'll be like,
"Yeah,
thanks for watching." Okay.
Yeah, you got Michael Caine, you don't got Tom, but yeah, it was phenomenal. Man, it is such an experience. I totally recommend it. And I'm not like a huge Top Gun fan. I have like a little bit of a resentment towards it because I know for a fact that if any of those men approached my wife, she would leave me for them.
Danger zone.
Danger zone. Yeah. But it's man, what a sequel. It's probably the best, one of the best sequels I've ever seen in a weird way. Yeah, it's really good. And when the jets take off, it feels like you are inside the turbine. It's so loud. The entire theater's like but like in a good way. It's awesome. So you should definitely watch it. If you can watch it, it is. It's like Interstellar, but you can hear what people are saying. So yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Radios.
Yeah, dude, it's really good. You should definitely see it.
Nice.
And then what else? Oh, the other thing I started watching is Stranger Things. I don't think you ever watched past the first season, right? It's good.
One and done.
When it did. Dude, it's good. It's definitely worth watching. Season 4 is really good. I really liked it. So far. Good. Grace and I are 10 minutes into the 5th episode, and then I was pulled away for this. To talk about Batman. It's
they broke up the last season, right?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't think they're breaking up.
Part 2 comes out in July.
Yeah, in like a month or 2.
Okay.
So like right now, I'm not going to go to Netflix. But right now, I believe there's like 7 episodes, and each of them are like an hour and a half to an hour long. And then I think only 2 more episodes are going to come out because I think there's only 9, but the last 2 are like really long.
2.5 hours each, yeah.
Yeah. Which I know a lot of people have been complaining about, but like, I don't care. I don't mind.
If you like something, what's
wrong with having more of it?
Yeah.
It makes me think about like Sherlock. You know, those episodes are like movies, 2 to 3 hours long.
Like 4 hours long.
Yeah, I think there's one that's literally 4 hours long. And it didn't bother me at all because I freaking love Sherlock. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but whether you like it or not, it's phenomenal. So, but yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. People have been weird about it, but I really liked season 4 so far.
Good. I'm glad. I can't wait for you to tell me how it ends.
I'm not going to tell you. you're just going to watch it eventually.
Then Google will be my friend for a day. Actually,
Chris is like,
care less.
I don't want to get too close to it, it might sully my reputation as a moviegoer.
It might.
No, it's good. It's all good. I bet Scorsese watches Stranger Things. He probably loves it. That's real cinema. That's what he'd say. He'd say, MCU, that ain't cinema. But you know what is? Stranger Things, the TV show. But yeah, that's our little segment.
Wait, speaking of, you said Scorsese. R.I.P. Ray Liotta.
Oh, did he die?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's too bad.
Dude, that makes me
best
sad.
laugh in cinema.
Yes. Wow. Dude, I can't believe he died.
Yeah, 67.
That's sad.
Super young.
That is super young. I was going to say, I didn't think he was that old. 67 is kind of old, but it's not that old.
Yeah.
It's probably...
It's only, 5 years older than my dad?
Your dad's 62?
Yeah.
Your dad is immortal, so...
Yeah.
He has eternal youth.
We have family pictures that are like 20 years old. He looks exactly the same.
Dude, same shirt, too. Same blue tank top.
Yeah. Exactly the same.
Dude, that's crazy. Well, your dad's going to beat Ray Liotta, so... Darn it, Ray. It's probably the
in
copious
this life
drugs.
or the afterlife.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a bummer. Thanks for ruining this episode, Chris, with Ray Liotta's death.
This is to honor him.
Oh, excuse me. Thank you for enhancing this episode with Ray Liotta's death. I'll put a picture of Ray Liotta's face as he laughs in Goodfellas. I'll put a note
he's the
down
one
to
of him
remember.
laughing in the diner.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. But, my friend, sadly, Ray Liotta is not in this movie.
Sadly, I know.
Who would he
Would
play
be
if he
a
was?
great
Oh, he'd play
Joker.
Two-Face. Oh, or Joker. I could
Two-Face
see
or
that.
Joker.
Maybe he's not honest enough to be to be Two-Face.
Yeah.
I mean, he obviously could have played like any of the mobsters.
Mm-hmm.
He could be Maroni.
Anybody can be Maroni at this point. If the guy from
That's true.
Adam Sandler's corner can be Maroni or Falcone.
Yeah.
Falcone.
Falcone. You're very correct. But Chris, let's just freaking jump in the deep
Cut to the
end here.
chase.
Into the chase. I like that.
Let's cut into the chase.
Let's slash the chase in two. What are your 3 words for this film?
I thought you'd never ask. Oh no. Okay. I thought I deleted all my notes.
I thought those were your words. Oh no.
Oh no. I have influential, abundant, and substantive.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thank you.
My
Do I need to say more, or would you like to go into your 3?
I'll go into my 3 and then I'll have you talk. All right?
Okay.
How about you take your turn? You let me run this show for a moment here. Because I think your words are going to be more meaningful. So I'll get mine out of the way. Technically, it's 4 words. Not just a superhero movie. It's like 7 words. Not just. And then this is all one word.
movie.
A superhero movie. So not just a superhero movie. But yeah, but tell me about your words. Because they kind of go
Okay.
with what I'm saying. I think at least in some way.
Yeah, I think so. So this movie came out in 2008, I believe, which is when I saw it with my dad when I was 10. And I'll never forget the ticket ripper being like, "Are you sure you want to have your son see this?" Which is not that crazy of a movie. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's PG-13. I mean, I've seen Stripes.
Yes. You probably saw Zodiac at that time. I'm sure you'd seen Saving Private
Seriously?
Ryan every Sunday.
Seriously. But influential, because I feel like this movie changed a lot of things. It changed the way we look at superhero movies. Like, I know Batman Begins was just the same as Dark Knight in tone, pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it accomplishes the same thing. But for some reason, this movie took it to another level, and it influenced the way we look at superheroes, comics, movies, video games. It changed everything. I swear, like, Arkham Asylum wouldn't be the way it is without this movie, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, just you wouldn't have a Zack Snyder without this movie.
Thank you, Dark Knight.
Yeah, and then Abundant. It just has an abundance of great scenes. There's not like a wasted scene really in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Each one is memorable in its own way. It stands out in its own way, and just every frame, it's brilliant. It's awesome. And then substantive, because it asks some meaningful questions for the world of Batman and for the society at large, I think, you know. Yeah, it was just the Joker and Batman's rule of not killing people, and just a lot. There's just a lot going on. There's like, as I was watching, I was like, wow, it's pretty in depth. With, you got Gordon's perspective, you got Two-Face's perspective, Batman's, and the Joker's, and they all perfectly tie around each other.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those are my words. That's what they mean. That's all I'm gonna say.
Good.
I'm done.
Chris out. I love those. I
Young
think
out.
they're young out. I think you hit the nail on the head. Because I don't know if there's a lot of people out there that don't like this movie. I think it's pretty much universally beloved. And I know that for me, one of the reasons I love it so much is because, like you said, it has some substance to it that goes beyond simple, like, entertainment. You know what I mean? And I think the Batman does that, and it does that as well, but it does it in a different way. Where, for me, the Batman is visually very evocative of emotions inside of you and things you've experienced. You know what I mean? And
the Batman is definitely more. Oh, sorry.
No, you go.
I'm just cutting you off right and left here.
That's what you do.
The Batman is more intimate, I feel like, and Dark Knight is probably more symbolic.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
The world at large.
The Batman somehow connects with, like, you on, like, a personal level, and I think the Dark Knight does too, but it doesn't do it as much, at least in my opinion, through its imagery and through the music and through the way it feels to watch it. The Dark Knight, for me, it comes down to its story, which I think is a lot stronger than the Batman story. The Batman feels 30 minutes longer than it is. I think it has some real pacing issues. It feels like it's 4 hours long, and it shouldn't, because it's like a 2.5 hour long movie. It's the same length as this movie, but this movie feels like it knows where it's going the entire time. Anyway, but that doesn't really have to do with its message. But like what you said about symbolism, I think that the questions this movie asks are important outside of it being entertainment. Like, what it really means to be a hero. Like, I think that's an important thing, and it sounds dumb because it's like, well, no one's a hero. Who's a hero? But I think that, like, if you look at religion, if you look at Islam, if you look at Christianity, if you look at, our faith, I think that almost every spiritual organization or belief system is about learning how to be a hero, and learning how to emulate a hero. And I think that Christopher Nolan actually gets it very right in that this is the story of Batman truly actually becoming Batman. If Batman Begins is about him starting, this is about him actually becoming a hero. And
yeah, he transcends being Batman and
Exactly.
understanding what Batman means.
Yeah. And I
Which
think
culminates
it's
in the best
just-
movie ever in The Dark Knight Rises, because it's all about the symbolism.
We'll see. I literally have not seen Rises since it came out. So like, part of me is like, that's ridiculous, but part of me is like, I don't know, maybe you're right. but we'll have to see. And I'm sure we'll talk more about it, about what it means to be a hero or whatever later in the podcast, because that's kind of the whole point of the movie, at least in my opinion. But yeah, I think that's a good way to start.
That's
But I don't know.
Point.
Yeah, what are some scenes you want to talk about? You want to talk about some characters?
Let's just start with the opening, dude.
Oh, yeah.
What a banger opening.
Yeah, it is.
Like, how cool is it that it starts with Payday the movie?
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
I wonder if this movie came out before Payday was made.
I think
it has
Payday
to.
came out in
It had to.
2007. I don't know why I get that
really?
vibe. But either way, I'm not
Makes
sure it was
sense.
inspired.
It's a
by
Valve
Payday.
game. It makes sense.
They all
I don't
came
know
out
if it's
a
Valve.
decade ago. Valve hasn't. Oh, that's the wrong Payday game. I got Payday by Hasbro, the board game.
Oh,
It's
not
the
that.
incorrect one.
But it's a cool opening. You got the heists. You got the thieves all wearing clown masks, and they're all being told that they're supposed to kill their partners. And it's all like a who's who of who's in charge and who's going to be the last one standing.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Payday came out in 2011, so Valve
Oh, okay.
ripped
Never
Christopher Nolan off.
We should sue him.
He should sue him. But yeah,
it's a cool opening.
it is.
I mean, the whole movie's cool, but
Another thing that's cool about it is that it's not like, it sounds kind of dumb and it's not that cool, but almost everything the Joker does, not everything, but a lot of the different things the Joker does, like the heist in the beginning with the different clowns who are all killing each other, and then what he does with the gang bosses, like his whole interaction with them, and then the fairies at the end. Anyway, there's a couple scenes like this where he's putting an actual like ethical thought experiment that's like known and that people have talked about for years, and he's like literally doing it, which is just interesting because like you don't see that a lot, and it doesn't talk about it. Like it doesn't say right now the Joker is doing the prisoner's dilemma, you know what I mean? But it's cool to see him like, I don't know, it's like, what does that mean about the Joker? Is this freaking an ethics professor? Like,
yeah,
you know, these are like things, like it's not like he just came up with them. Anyway, it's interesting. There's so many questions about who the Joker is, you know? Like he can use all these explosive, he just knows these weird obscure thought experiments just to try, and these like philosophical like experiments that people have like come up with. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that opening is so good.
it's super cool. Yeah. I don't know. It's that opening is jaw dropping at times. Like, I don't know how I feel about what he says. Like, what doesn't kill you makes you stranger. I think that's pretty cringe, but
That is my least favorite line in the whole movie.
yeah, me too. So
Doesn't
that
kill
did
you,
not land.
makes you a stranger. It's like, oh, really, Heath? That's what we're going with? All right.
But everything else is great. Everything else is perfect with the Joker. But yeah, he's constantly turning people on themselves and each other, especially with Batman and Two-Face and Gordon. He's turned themselves on each other, and he does that throughout the entire movie. I always wondered about the fairy scene, like if they had pressed the detonator, would it just blow themselves up?
I don't think so.
Like,
I think
You
it
think it would
would.
actually blow up the other fairy?
Yeah, because like, this is the thing.
Be pretty
This is the
funny.
other big thing that I think is important, and that what makes this movie not just a superhero movie. It's that the Joker, like, he's in the. This sounds cliche because they've said it, I think, in the movie even, that like, this isn't a battle for the life of Gotham or for like, you know, the world to keep existing. It's a battle for the soul of Gotham.
Yeah.
And in that sense, it doesn't matter who dies for the Joker. The only thing he cares for him to win is to show that people are the way he thinks they are. You know,
Yeah.
that they really are just self-serving. So I think if he had them like blow themselves up, I think he wants them to live with who they are and to be the ones who killed the others, right?
Yeah. Powerful stuff, man.
It is powerful stuff.
Speaking of the heist scene really quick, that bank owner shoots a shotgun with civilians behind Joker the whole time.
Oh yeah, dude.
And misses every shot.
He hits a lot of civilians.
I was thinking about that watching that scene.
I think that's supposed to show that he's like tied up with the mob. And so like he doesn't care.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Plus he's got like a sawed-off shotgun.
Yeah,
that he's just like
super cool.
Freaking shooting into a crowd. Missing.
Cool.
How did this dude miss? Like,
I don't know, man.
It's a great scene, though.
Yeah.
There's
so many good scenes. I love I think this is one of my little topics, and we'll just jump right into it, I guess. One of the greatest scenes in this movie is when Joker pulls off capturing Dent.
Yeah.
And that vehicle scene where he's in the semi and you got him shooting the guns at the SWAT car, and then he shoots the rocket, and then Batman shows up and he like forces that garbage truck to like go into the overpassing. He kills somebody there, obviously.
Yeah.
The person's dead. But it got me to thinking that like Nolan is really good at filming vehicles.
He is.
Like I was just thinking about it. So what we got? Where is it? You got this heist scene where Joker breaks out Dent. Then you have the Tenet heist scene. And then you have, like, you remember when he has like the fire truck and stuff on the freeway?
Yeah.
Then you have the Inception train sequence, which is really good. And you got the interstellar spaceship docking, which is like the most powerful scene in the entire movie, and you're just watching a spaceship spin into another spaceship. And it just got me thinking that he's just great at filming vehicles for some reason. Like he should just be making like Fast and Furious movies or something. I don't know.
Maybe he's gonna make the Gran Turismo film.
Oh no.
Here's the thing.
Maybe.
Of the PlayStation properties that have announced films and like movie adaptations, the Gran Turismo one seems the best to me. Like, why would I want a Horizon TV show or like a movie, or why would I want a God of War movie or TV show? Why?
I think maybe the what's it called? Twisted Metal show might be funny, but
like no one asked for it. Like that'll be cool, I guess. You and David Jaffe will like it. It's like the only other person the only other thing I can think of that seems moderately good is maybe Ghost of Tsushima, because it's kind of inspired by movies. So I could see them doing like a tribute to Kurosawa, and you got, a dope samurai being cool, because we don't have enough samurai movies. But like, do we need another Viking show? Do we?
No,
we don't. Do we need to see Netflix's awful version of robot dinosaurs and CGI?
Well, what if the God of War show is Greek?
I still don't. Why do I need it to be? I just want to play a game.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a world where I'm like, I could either play the game version or I could watch some other guy like pretend to be Kratos. I'm Kratos.
Okay, how about this? You remember the Need for Speed movie with Aaron Paul?
No one remembers that movie, but I know it came out.
What for Gran Turismo? They get like
Aaron Paul,
Bryan Cranston,
Bryan Cranston,
or Giancarlo Esposito.
I knew you were gonna say that. Dude, I hope they get the Nazi guy from Jungle Cruise. They have him race against Aaron Paul.
Yeah, it'd be great.
It would be amazing. I would watch that.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't care less about these stupid shows.
And they're on like every service. It's like one's on Prime, one's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Sony's really seeing how it works, throwing it everywhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, excuse me.
I don't know. What are some of your favorite scenes? Tell me
Man.
about the scenes that stand out to you.
So, I will say, now, I like Christian Bale in this. I think he's great. I think Alfred has some iconic lines. So does Aaron Eckhart. The whole, I'm going to butcher this, but, if you live long enough as a hero, you become the villain, whatever, Just a great line. It's just horrendous.
Terrible.
But, literally watched this yesterday. And then every line Alfred says, you got to burn the jungle down and blah, blah, blah. He's great. He's fantastic. But definitely all my favorite scenes involve the Joker. What a surprise. Yeah. I love every scene he has with the mobsters. Like, I really like it when they call him crazy and he gets a little offended. He's like,
I'm not crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Just hearing him talk is so great. Yeah, everything. Literally anything he says other than whatever doesn't kill you makes you stranger. So, man, favorite scenes, you got to be that one with the mobsters. I know, right? Where he slams his face on the pencil and makes the pencil disappear. That's great. Mm-hmm. When he burns their money. I love when he's talking to Two-Face. And he's in the nurse's outfit, and he has a Harvey Dent sticker on him for him running for office. Just when he's walking away, everything. I like everything with the Joker, which I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of a an expected answer, but I don't know if there's a scene I really love in particular other than just everything with the Joker. I just think Heath Ledger does so good. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Heath Ledger, this was his last film, I believe. Mm-hmm. So it's really sad. And I think his untimely death ruined whatever plans they had for the third movie. Mm-hmm. And they had to catch up on everything. But yeah, it's very sad. He did a great job. And that's actually, you brought up where the scene where he burns the money. And that's actually my favorite line in the movie. When he says it's not about money, it's about sending a message. Everything burns. It's a great line. I watched that 3 or 4 times. It's such a good line, and just the delivery and everything. And it's after he is basically telling the last mobster, I think, that it's not about anything you care about. This isn't about the money, and the men that you have, they're not yours. You're just alone. And he offs them with his dogs or whatever. And yeah, that's the one of the best scenes in the whole movie.
Oh, I love
that. So I totally agree with you.
And I love this scene too, because I think it has the two, not most powerful, but the coolest symbols of the Joker. You have the fire, right? That's anarchy. And then you have the dogs. And you see him doing weird dog stuff the whole movie. You know, where he's always licking his lips. He puts his head out the car and he's just doing weird stuff like a dog. But I just think they're both great symbols of him, because he's not like the criminals that Ra's al Ghul taught Bruce about. If you remember at the end of the last movie, Ra's al Ghul tells him all criminals are simple. They just want money and power. And then that's what Bruce says at the beginning of this movie. He says, Alfred, all criminals are simple. They just want money or power. He's still just repeating whatever Ra's al Ghul taught him, even after he defeated him. And it's interesting because it's no, the Joker's the opposite of that. This is really interesting. This movie's so good.
Yeah. I totally agree. I was going to say something else, but... Oh. It's kind of was supposed to be said earlier. But we got too caught up in talking about this movie. With the vehicle scenes, I was wondering if you have any vehicle scenes from other movies that you really like, whether they be racing scenes or demolition scenes.
Dude, funnily enough, there's a bunch that have just come to mind. Because, I love the Batmobile chase when he's chasing Colin Farrell. So good. Maverick, the entire movie is so dope. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even like planes. I don't like being more than 10 feet off the ground. But there's something about the way they film these planes just doing stuff that you're like, yeah, yes! You know, it's just so cool.
Yeah.
And you're right. Some cinematographers, some cinematographers, they just have this gift for filming a vehicle do something. It's just activating every single dopamine receptor in your entire brain. Like,
Every emotion.
Yes. It's just so cool. You're like, yes!
It's like a child being born. You're being born again. You're watching this scene.
You're sobbing as you emerge from a new womb. It's amazing. But yeah, those are like the ones that jump to my mind. Are there any others from other movies that like totally catch you?
Oh yeah. First ones that come to mind are like Bullet or French Connection.
Ooh, French Connection.
But then for like more modern movies, you got Terminator 2 scene when he's on the motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
And you got The Bourne Identity, of course.
Oh yes, the Mini Cooper.
The Mini Coupe. But then like a movie that I just love, and I think a lot of people love it. I feel like every female hates it, is Mad Max Fury Road.
I still haven't seen it, man.
Dude, it's one of the best movies ever. And there's a scene. I guess it's not a spoiler. I mean, they drive through one of the sandstorms in that world, and it is one of the most. It's a spectacle to behold for sure. It's crazy. But yeah, I love Mad Max Fury Road. There's lots of movies with good chase scenes.
Oh, I love that.
And with good car scenes, and I feel that the Batman is right up there with it, with all those movies, and well, maybe not up there with them, but it's really good. And I think this one scene in The Dark Knight where Joker's in the semi, that scene's awesome. Like, that's a jaw-dropping moment. That whole sequence, because then that's like you go from them setting the tone with the fire truck on fire, and they have to go in the underpass or whatever you want to call it. I don't know terms. And then you have the garbage truck breaking that one Jeep of SWAT guys who were drowning at this point. And then you have the Joker shooting the rocket launcher, and then you go from the Batmobile to the Bat Cycle. And it's just this like 20 minutes of like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is happening.
Just constant hype.
Yes, it is. It's constant hype. That's a good term. But I gotta say, Nolan can film vehicles. He can't film fight scenes.
Yeah, I like it. I like his Tenet fight scenes, but I think
his Tenet ones are great.
He grew into that.
He had 30 years to perfect it. These every Batman fight scene is pretty bad. Like, not the more intimate ones, like when Batman's fighting Joker. That one's fine. But when he's fighting goons, the like dodge punches, guys doing backflips, it's terrible.
It's better than Begins.
But it's a lot better than Begins, but
yeah.
And the sad thing is, I remember this, it's a lot better than The Dark Knight Rises.
No.
Dark Knight Rises has the worst fighting choreography I have ever seen. Like, laughable. It's laughable.
You don't like it when Bane picks him up and drops him on his knee?
It's not that. It's when there's a scene when Batman and Catwoman are fighting on a rooftop, and they're fighting like 30 guys. It's terrible. It's like Catwoman will do like a spin kick, and then 3 guys will fly 5 feet away. It's terrible.
I've seen videos of this.
Yeah,
because they will just like fall down in the background even without her hitting them.
Yeah, like they won't even get hit. They'll be like, ah.
Nice. Good job, like, Christopher. That was good.
Thank you.
Felt like I was there.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I think that is one of his weaknesses. And I think funnily enough, this movie doesn't have a lot of fighting, and maybe that's why it gets preserved from Nolan's slight inability to film action. But speaking of that scene, though, not to distract, but that giant chase sequence, I think the ending is my favorite part, where the Joker, he doesn't even want to kill Batman, man. He's like, he has a gun. He's like shooting the cars so they get out of the way so that Batman can hit him. You know, he's just like, hit me, hit me. Oh, dude.
I was thinking about that while I was watching it. Because, obviously he's not shooting Batman, but maybe he was putting into Batman's head that the more time he takes, the more people are dying. Mm-hmm. So Joker's shooting civilians as he's, driving. He's not going any faster. So it's, that was like a pretty meta scene, honestly. Yeah. It's very good.
It's so good. He's just trying to break him.
Great.
Oh my gosh.
Let's talk about Dent. Dent's such a stud.
Yeah, you like Harvey?
Harvey's a stud, dude.
Dang.
That whole first scene in the courtroom. He grabs the gun, punches him. He's like, "But Your Honor, I'm not done."
My man. That's amazing.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Your Honor, I'm not done. He's so cool.
Yeah. He's a really good actor. I've always liked Aaron Eckhart.
Me too. Like him in The Core.
Yeah.
I think it's the only other movie I know him from, but I know he's a big
I think
deal.
the only other movie that I've seen him in is besides Bow Los Angeles, which is a terrible movie.
He just gets wound up in these horrible movies. He's not a bad actor. He's pretty good.
Thank You for Smoking, and that was a really good movie. I like that movie. But yeah, Aaron Eckhart is awesome as Harvey Dent. He sells it, man. He sells it way more than the new Rachel actress.
Yes. I'm glad she's dead. That worked out.
Seriously. No. Aaron Eckhart does a great job. He plays the duality super well. And just a lot of neat scenes with him. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's good. He's a lot better than, this movie is so much better than I remember it being. And I've seen it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, it's a surprisingly good movie. Mm-hmm. Every time I watch it, it gets better, which is not how I feel about a lot of movies, Mm-hmm. But I'll be like, sure. That movie's good. And then I'll watch it again a year later. I'm like, dang, that movie's really good. That's crazy. And you're right. It does come down to the side performances like Eckhart and not Rachel, who's, I guess, fine. She's not bad. But,
she's actually better than the first Rachel.
Yeah.
I always gave the second Rachel crap. I don't know why. I think just for fun, just because obviously she's not the same actress.
Who is
Even
she?
as
What's
a kid, I was like,
name?
who is this woman named Rachel? There's 2 Rachels?
Why are there 2 Rachel Dawes?
But no, this Rachel's good. I've seen her in other movies like Frank, and she was fine in that.
Yeah, this is the one with the weird face. Sorry.
But
it's Maggie Gyllenhaal, dude.
Yeah, it's Jake Gyllenhaal's sister.
Jake Gyllenhaal's sister. I wonder if she's so weird.
I bet she doesn't shower either.
I bet not.
But who always does a really good job in these movies? Gary Oldman.
Yeah, dude.
As Gordon. Dude's he's a masterclass of an actor.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
I love Gary Oldman so much.
Dude, there's nothing sexier than Gary Oldman in a SWAT suit.
Dude, you're right.
He should be Leon. He's just like Robert Pattinson. Those two together.
You man. Oh my gosh. Wow. Just blew my mind.
I mean, I could just have a whole calendar of Gary Oldman in different uniforms.
Dude, in various public service uniforms. Kind of like a firefighter in July. Yeah. Ooh, maybe in the down months, you gotta him in a garbage waste uniform, perhaps.
Ooh.
You know, he's showing his bicep as he has the
Yeah.
can behind his head.
Yeah.
We should talk to Gary Oldman about this.
Yeah, we should.
And he really could play like an old Leon. Like
Yeah.
a grizzled old Leon.
Why didn't they pick him for Sully?
Dude,
I don't know if he'd be that. He probably wouldn't have been that good of a Sully. It still should be J.K. Simmons, but who cares?
At least Gary Oldman could have made a mustache appear on his face. You know, at the very least. Oh, man. Wow. I feel like I want to talk about a fake Resident Evil movie now instead. Can you imagine Resident Evil 4, but it's Gary Oldman? He's been CGI'd to look young. Oh.
Stop aiming at that, my boy!
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
anyway, you're
all
right.
of his scenes are so good.
Gary Oldman's awesome in this.
Mm-hmm.
This movie has like the best sidekick. I mean, Lucius Fox is great. You got Alfred, who's great as normal. You know,
You got the guy who tries blackmailing Bruce.
yes,
Who's like a little weasel, but he's still good.
he's great, and he has like a great plot point too.
Subplot.
What's his name?
He has Ralph?
Something like that.
Randall.
Randall. That's a pretty scummy name. That makes sense.
Yeah. He has a great subplot.
Yes. I think that's like one of my favorite parts, and you totally forget it even happens. It always surprises me every time.
Mm-hmm.
For those who haven't seen the movie in a while, the Joker... So this guy, Randall, I believe he's going to expose who Batman is, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah,
And-
he's going to talk about it on like national news or something.
Exactly. He's going to reveal his identity. And that's the whole reason that Batman was going to come forward and say who he was, and then Harvey does, and anyway, there's this whole thing. But the Joker says that he is going to blow up a hospital if somebody doesn't kill Randall. And so it's a big plot point where Batman tries to save this guy, or does save this guy, even though he's, you know, kind of a mean guy. But it's a great plot point. Super good.
Mm-hmm.
By the way,
Love it.
little tidbit for you. The Lamborghini that Bruce is driving, that he uses...
It's Nolan's.
is Nolan's. No. It is called a Lamborghini Murcielago, which means bat in Spanish or in Italian. It's his...
You know, there's that funny scene where Lucius is showing Bruce the new sonar technology, and Bruce is about to say, "Oh, like a," and before he says "bat," Lucius is like a submarine. I thought that was a pretty funny scene. It kind of goes over your head if you're not paying attention.
Oh my gosh.
Like a submarine.
Lucius. Like a submarine.
This movie's good, man. You talked about sequels in the beginning of this episode, and you were talking about how Top Gun is one of the best sequels you've ever seen. I think this is probably the best sequel I've ever seen. Like, this is a really good sequel.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about other sequels. And how does this movie, and maybe even Top Gun, succeed at being a sequel and other movies don't? Because this movie, like, besides the fighting, is above and beyond way better than the first movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's no question.
Mm-hmm. I super
So where do you
agree.
think this movie succeeds and other sequels don't? But, you know, I was thinking about other sequels. Spider-Man 2, way better than the first movie.
Yes.
At least in my opinion. I mean, they're both great movies.
I'm with you. I think 2's better. 2's great.
Matrix
Man.
1 is probably better than 2.
That's true. I think there's a lot of movies where the first movie is better than the others.
So I'll just pull up a list of sequels.
While you do that, I'll try to give my general thoughts, because I've actually been thinking about this a lot because I saw Maverick. And I think that one of the most important things that a sequel needs to do in order to be good is to, like, be substantive in the grand scheme, like to matter and to push things forward. Because I think a lot of sequels, they just kind of happen, you know? And by the end of it, you're in the same place that you ended the first movie. But I think for a sequel to be truly great, it needs to push the characters somewhere the first movie couldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like a true sequel is an extension in some way of the first. And I think that's why this movie succeeds so much. And granted, I think the first movie is not only like worse, but like a lot worse than this movie. And Batman Begins isn't bad, but this movie's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, that's my general thought. I'm sure we'll talk about that more.
No, I like that. I totally agree with you. And yeah, I'm looking at other sequels to movies. Obviously, you got Maverick. I don't know how Marvel works. Like, what do you consider a sequel in the Marvel verse?
Dude,
like
I guess direct
is
sequels
Iron
count.
Man? Yeah, is Iron Man the sequel to Hulk? But yeah, you have a lot of movies going one step, two steps back, and that's where I think a lot of Marvel movies fit. Is that all they do is progress the story, but I don't know. Scorsese's right; those movies aren't films. Still talking about
this is not cinema.
But you got like Terminator 2: Judgment Day, way better than the first movie. It's way more popular, and I don't know exactly like where that movie succeeds over the first movie. Besides the action, that just might be it. Is Arnold is more comfortable in the character. You got better action scenes, a more terrifying foe. I don't know. You got Toy Story 2, Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I like Toy Story 2 more than Toy Story 1, but I think that no one else agrees with me.
I couldn't tell you.
Dude, you probably don't even remember. Toy Story 2 is the one with the scene that Aspen likes where he's like painting Woody's foot.
That's not the first movie?
That's the second movie. The second movie is the one with like the toy collector who gives off pedophile vibes. And like Zurg is there, and he tells Buzz that he's his father, and you get Jesse. And that's
the one with the cowgirl's farmer dad.
Jesse
trying to kill him.
Farmer's dad is 3. Dude,
I don't know.
I don't know if you ever saw these. I saw each movie once. Well, I saw the third movie once, and 2 I saw 100 times when I was 12. So,
okay. Let's see. They made a Grease 2.
Did they? I don't know if that's true. I think you're thinking of After Earth by L. Ron Hubbard, John Travolta's greatest film.
What?
No, it's not After Earth. What's that movie called? It's based off a book by L. Ron Hubbard. You don't know about John Travolta's filmography?
Oh, here we go. Rotten Tomatoes, the most credible source.
Oh, yeah.
100 best sequels of all time.
Morbius.
Let's see. Mamma Mia, here we go again.
It is good.
It's good.
It is good.
I don't know if you can do you consider reboots?
No,
sequels?
reboots aren't sequels.
But like it's a reboot of a franchise, but it is progressing the story from the first ones.
Yeah, I guess that's a legacy
Halloween.
Sequel.
That's a good term for it.
So like Top Gun Maverick would be a legacy sequel in that way.
Oh, dude, best sequel ever, Batman Returns.
You're right though. It is better than the original Batman.
Did you ever see the Raid movies?
Raid?
The Raid.
Oh yeah, I watched it with you.
Movies? That's right.
The movie's
Did
great.
you ever watch the second one with me?
I feel like we did, but I don't remember it. If we didn't watch it, I'm sure we meant to. Because we loved the Raid.
One, wasn't the second one.
Raid was awesome.
This is getting too out of hand because they're giving sequels to like the 5th movie, so it's like 6 and 7. I can't deal with that.
That's too far, Rotten Tomatoes.
But yeah, this movie, the movie behind me, it's much better than Begins.
Yeah, it is.
I think it has better characters, more dynamic characters because you have Dent. And you have more Gary Oldman, which the first one was, I always feel is missing. Actually, there's never enough Gary Oldman in these movies.
That's true. Always can have more.
Rachel is less involved.
Good.
In the second one. And I think Christian Bale is a lot better as Bruce and Batman in this movie.
Oh, he's great.
He really grows into it, and I loved what you said about him, like regurgitating what Ra's al Ghul said to him about how criminals are. That's such a neat little touch. And this could just be because Nolan got better at writing Batman, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think it would be pretty hard to go from Insomnia, Memento to Batman.
It's a little different.
Yeah. I did like that they included Scarecrow in the beginning of this movie, which I always forget that Scarecrow's right there. I always think he's in the first one and the third one.
He's just
I always
chilling.
forget that he's in the second one. Yeah, he's just chilling, doing his thing, selling bad drugs.
I guess.
He's doing like petty crimes compared to what he was doing.
Who's gonna
It's
buy
really weird.
drugs from this guy? He is the last
He's a
man I
psychopath.
would buy drugs from. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I don't know.
And by the way, speaking of Nolan's writing skills, something that I really appreciated about Bruce in this movie is another thing that makes him a good hero. And it's that he's kind of accomplished a lot of his goals at the point in this movie. You know, pretty much his main arc for the beginning of this movie is that he wants to stop being Batman.
He wants to get with Rachel.
He wants to get with Rachel, and not only that, he wants Harvey Dent to take the Batman and what it does and do it legally. You know?
Yeah.
He wants to be out of the game. And he kind of does say that, like, explicitly, but most of the time, it's just like a vibe you get from him. He's just tired, you know? He's just tired, and he doesn't want to do this anymore, and he only does it because he knows he's the only person that can. And, like, at the end of the day, he steps up, and not only does he do it, even though he doesn't want to, and even though it ruins his life, he also does it and then gives the credit to someone else and becomes a pariah. Like, I think that how much power would it take not only to do the right thing when it's hard and you don't want to, but also to do the right thing knowing that it's going to make everyone hate you, even though they're the ones it benefits most. Like, I just find that to be so powerful. You know, I can't think of a lot of figures like that. I mean, it's like Jesus Christ. It's like, you know, other figures from religion. It's just these people who are willing to shoulder your burdens. You know, it's funny to think of Batman as that way, but I think that's something that really shows how well Christopher Nolan understands not only Batman, but heroism. You know, I found that to be really powerful when I kind of understood the ending of this movie, because it's a weird ending unless you get what he's trying to say. You know, a true hero needs to be willing to be hated for doing the right thing. Man, I know so many people, I know myself, that when it comes to doing the right thing, sometimes I'm not going to do it because I know what people are going to think of me. You know, I know what it's going to look like. Anyway, don't mean to get so passionate over a Batman movie.
No, please.
But you know what I mean? Like, dang. There's so many people who stop doing the right thing the second it's going to make people feel bad about them, or the second it is going to tarnish their reputation.
Criticism, any sort of judgment.
So
no, it's he really like embodies sacrifice in the end of this movie, just like Jesus Christ.
That's right, man. It's a great movie. Like,
it is really good.
It's good on so many levels. Anyway.
Do you think Heath is the king of Jokers?
Yes, without a freaking doubt.
After this movie, I think so.
I mean, a lot of people like to say Mark Hamill, but granted, I haven't watched the entire animated series, but no one comes close. And I don't even know if it's bold statement. I don't even know if it's Jokers. It might be just villains. There's just this maniac evilness, but also humanity and like relatability that Heath brings to the performance. It's just so human, but also so inhuman. Like, how does he do it? And he's just got this magnetism. I mean, at the end of every scene he's in, I'm like, man, maybe he's right. And that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. There are times where you're like, maybe he has the right idea here. Like, maybe he's actually trying to help everyone.
Oh, and I love all the scenes where... No, you go, you go.
Sorry. I don't even know what I was saying.
But just speaking of like understanding his perspective, there's like several times where the camera pans in such a way after he says something that you kind of look at him from behind, or like when he's hanging upside down at the end of the movie, it pans so that he's right side up. And I think it's trying to kind of give you that vibe too, where it's like maybe his perspective isn't so wonky after all, you know?
Yeah.
Even though I do think he's wrong, but yeah, it does make you question, because he's a smooth talker, and he certainly believes he's right. And I don't think he's crazy in the way that often Joker is portrayed. I think he really thinks that he's the sane one and everyone else is crazy.
Yeah.
I think he thinks that he understands the world in a way that no one else is capable of, and he's trying to help people see. But
yeah.
I
don't know. He's like he's kind of like a Charles Manson figure in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's in his own world, and in his world, in his mind, he's the one in the right.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the scene or the line where he's in the interrogation room and he's talking to the cop about like wanting his phone call or whatever, and he says like, do you want to know which one of your friends were cowards? And he's talking about like how he knew them better than he ever could. And I thought, I was like, wow, that's really powerful, and that's a really like, not, I don't want to say a true statement, but it's profound, and it makes you think that maybe it's kind of true, because all the cops were, you know, they were dirty cops, lying all the time. It's just like, wow, that really just gets in your head. Like, I think that's the best way I can say it.
No, I agree. Because that's something that the Joker says throughout the movie, is that he knows people better than they know themselves, right? I mean, that's like the entire point of Batman, or his conflict with Batman, is he's trying to show not only Batman, but Gotham, that Batman isn't who he says he is, that he knows Batman better. But the interesting thing is, it's like, what does it really mean to know somebody? Because the Joker knows your dirty laundry. He knows what makes you bad. He knows your sins, so to speak. But, like, is that, like, knowing somebody? Because I don't know. Like, I think Batman isn't what Joker says he is. And I think those dirty cops often weren't what he said they were either. A lot of them were desperate to, like, help their families so they get in bad with something, right? It's just, it's interesting. You know, because the Joker makes you think that he has this more perfect view, but in reality, people are so much more three-dimensional. And perhaps neither of them are right. You know, maybe it's not as easy as people are good or people are bad. Maybe it's something in between. Anyway, it's interesting, though, because you're right. It does make you think. And, like, I don't know, an MCU movie that made me think. Not that this is about dunking on the MCU, but, like, I don't know a whole lot of other superhero movies that make me think about stuff like that as much, you know?
No, I couldn't. No, I couldn't even think about one. Like maybe Joker, but that's another.
It's the same.
It's the same thing.
And you mentioned the interrogation scene. I totally forgot about it. That's probably my favorite scene. I love that scene. The entire thing is so good. And also, I love that the Joker says to Batman, in the exact same cadence as Tom Cruise and Jerry Maguire, "You complete me." It's like eerie. Anyway, I was thinking about that when I saw it. But man, that whole scene's so good. And then
I love he gets into Batman's head talking about Rachel and talking about how he thought Batman was Dent because of how he jumped after Rachel, and he's talking about like Dent's bride to be and stuff like this, and it's like, oh my gosh, he's not holding anything back. It's like Joker already knows that it's Bruce Wayne. He already knows who Batman is without like saying it.
He's so smart.
He's so smart. He's written so well.
Yeah. I think that scene in the hospital scene, those have got to be my favorites.
Oh, that's good too. And you've heard about like the detonator scene is improvised and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he does it so good. He's like all
He played
toddling
it off
around
so
like a
well.
weirdo. What's your favorite Joker line? I think you already said it earlier. You
I already said
the money burning.
Yeah, everything burns. I love that line. It's so good.
I love it too.
What about you?
I really like, not because of its content, but because of its delivery. I just like really enjoy listening to him say it. But when he's talking to Dent and he's trying to convince him that he's not a schemer, even though Joker is literally the king of schemers.
Yeah.
And he's talking about how he's like a dog chasing cars and how if he caught one, he wouldn't even know what to do with it. It just, it just reminds me of like...
The whole monologue is great.
Oh, it's so good. And it reminds me of like temptation and like Satan, which like we're just going to talk about religion this whole episode. But I think there's some really good analogs in this because, man, is he convincing. You know what I mean? I think the Joker, like, after I saw this movie for the first, second, and third time, I was like, the Joker's not a schemer. The Joker's just anarchy. He's just fire. He's just a dog. But like, he's not. He's literally the thing he's fighting. He's the biggest schemer of all. He's the biggest hypocrite of all. And it's like, how did he convince me?
He's talking about planning and how all of Dent's friends are dead because they had plans. But everything's going right for Joker because he doesn't have plans.
But like, can you think of a bigger planner? Like, this dude's implanting bombs in dudes' chests. You know what I mean? Like, he's always 15 steps ahead of everyone because he's a planner.
Yeah.
And so it just reminds me of experiences like that we've all had in our lives where we've just been convinced, by ourselves or by however you want to talk about it, by some negative influence to do something, and it's totally deceived you, and it's just you got to be vigilant, man. Not in just fighting temptation or whatever, but in being true and knowing yourself, so that when a schemer does try to come and convince you of something, you already know what you believe. It's just interesting, it really makes you think. So
no, for sure. Well, my friend, where should we go from here? Do you have any fast ones? Do you have any more scenes to talk about, characters to speak of?
Great question, man. I had a couple questions here, but I feel like we've already talked about all the big questions I had. I think it's probably coming up on a closing, like you mentioned with the fast ones. I would like to talk, before we get our fast ones out of the way, like just about where this falls in the Batman movies. This is pretty much our last one. We have Rises left. But it would be interesting to talk about where this movie falls in the grand scheme of things for all the other Batman movies. And in general. So, yeah.
Where does this land? Top 2 for sure.
Is it this and Rises for you?
Yeah. It really comes down to, I don't know, it just comes down to style, honestly, because they're both so different. This one has some extra points because it has Heath Ledger's Joker. But then you have Paul Dano's Riddler, who's
quite good.
Very good as well. And yeah, you just get a different style and a different feel, different vibe from each movie. It's like, I love Heath Ledger's Joker. I can't say his name for some reason. I love Heath's Joker. I love Gary Oldman. And obviously, Michael Caine's the best Alfred that will ever be. but they make up the movie for me. But then with the Batman, I like Robert Pattinson more as Batman and Bruce. Daniel's Riddler is great, but I also love the cinematography and the intimacy in that movie a lot more. This movie feel like Dark Knight is kind of like a wider lens. We're going to Gotham, we're going to Hong Kong and stuff like that. It's like an Uncharted movie, you know? But with the Batman, you focus in a lot more, and I think I like that. I think I like the intimacy a lot more, and the extra layer of groundedness per se. I mean, it's not totally grounded, but the fact that Robert Pattinson is an insomniac and he's taking adrenaline to get through the day.
Yeah.
I like that more. What about you?
No, I think that's a great take, by the way. I don't think there's like an obvious answer.
No, it's very hard.
Especially
Sweating over here.
Yeah, dude. Especially because I think people could look at the Batman and the Dark Knight and be like, oh, you know, they're pretty similar. But I think that they're totally super different tonally. Like when I first watched the Batman, I was like, oh, it's like Nolan's Batman. But it's not at all. I think it's such a stylish movie. It makes you feel things, and you don't have to be paying that much attention to feel it, which sounds weird. But just the score and the sound design, the fights, it's like it gives you this visceral feeling and message without, you know, having to get caught up too much and stuff. At least for me personally, right?
No, for sure.
And it just looks so good. And you're right, it is very intimate. And whereas I think you're right, this is a more global, less granular movie. And I think for me, I like The Dark Knight more simply because on this last viewing, the messages just like struck me so hard. And I don't know what it is about, you know, me while I was watching it this last time, but just it really hit me. So for me, and plus, and that on top of everything you said with these incredible characters and the actors who portray them in, I think, once in a lifetime ways, you know, from Alfred to Ledger to Oldman, it's just like, yeah, for me, this is probably the best Batman movie. And The Batman, I think, is a pretty close second, but it's also in its own category almost because it's so different, at least for me.
Yeah.
Right? It makes me
No,
feel
for sure.
so different.
The thing that bothers me the most from people who love The Dark Knight, besides the kids we grew up with who would always do the voices of Joker.
Where is she? That's not the Joker.
No, not that. Like when people do Heath Ledger's Joker voice
Yeah.
and say his lines. But when people are like, The Dark Knight is my favorite Batman movie. Why? Because Joker. The whole movie is based around this one character. And it can't just be looked... Like, I don't think you can look at this movie just looking at Heath Ledger's Joker, which is still great. And you may even say that in some cases, people like this movie more because Heath Ledger died afterwards, or they like his performance more because he passed away before the Oscars or whatever, and all this, you know. Like, almost liking this movie out of pity, which I don't believe in at all, of course, but I think some people look at it that way, and you just gotta look at it more broadly, I guess, because that's always the answer I get when people say this is their favorite Batman movies because of Joker. What about Batman? You know, the movie's named after him. When you think about him and stuff, or the cinematography and the score. But yeah. No, this movie's great.
I understand. I think, like, playing off that, I think that the only other thing that for me really separates this movie from The Batman is that and I don't know if it's because I've seen this movie 5 times. I've seen The Batman 2 or 3 times. But for some reason, the plot of this movie just feels a lot more cohesive to me.
It's a lot stronger for sure.
Yeah, it just feels a lot stronger as a story. So I think that's the other reason. It has a
really good foundation for sure. And that could be because it's a sequel.
And that's true, right? There's no groundwork that needs to be laid down. But they're both so good. And man, I wonder what's going to happen with the sequel to The Batman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's going to be freaking great.
I will say this, like, do I like The Dark Knight or The Batman more? I like The Batman more. But do I like Heath Ledger's performance more than the whole Batman movie? Probably.
Yeah.
You know, because Heath Ledger he's just so good. It's kind of crazy, but no, I'm looking at the two movies as a whole. I think I like The Batman more, but I've only seen it once, so who knows?
True.
But it's a 3-hour movie, so I don't feel like watching it right now.
I feel you. No, yeah, man. Oh, what was the? Oh, and then, do you feel like this is a good movie, or is it just a good Batman movie? I think that's like a good question to kind of end on, unless you have some fast ones. But
I have no fast one. No, this is a great movie. I would watch this movie again and again.
Me too. And yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes it an all-time great is that iconic. Just like we started with, right? It is iconic because it's not just a good superhero movie. It's not just a good Batman movie. It's a good movie. Mm-hmm. It is. I don't know. Like, maybe Scorsese
cover up like Batman. That is so iconic. Just the building with the fire symbol.
Here's the thing. Does that happen in this movie?
No.
I'm so baffled. That's like a Dark Knight Rises thing, right?
That is The Dark Knight. That is the cover of the movie.
But it doesn't happen.
Well, usually he's actually driving the speed bike through it. Makes no sense.
I've been so confused. The last 2 times I've seen it, I've been waiting for that to happen. I've been so confused.
No, that happens in Rises.
Dude, Nolan was thinking so far ahead.
Yeah, he was.
Well, dang, man. What an episode. It felt really good to talk about this and to it feels like we've accomplished something. We're like almost there. And granted, a lot of people think things fall off towards the end of Rises, so but I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be good. But to feel like we've man, this is like one of our major series, you know?
I know, it's almost over.
We've been talking about Batman for like a year and a half, dude. We don't even like Batman that much. Right? Like, I don't think of us as Batman fans, but now, like, I know all of these things about every Batman movie because we've done all these. It's so weird.
Yeah.
What else was I was gonna tell you one thing. Oh, we meant to say this at the beginning. In fact, I might move this to the beginning. We have switched to recording and putting out an episode once every 2 weeks as opposed to once every week. And this is to preserve my mental health as I finish this semester of school. It's just been crazy busy. So, yeah, this will probably actually be moved to the beginning. But we just wanted everyone to know that you should no longer expect an episode a week. Instead, an episode every 2 weeks. And if you want to, help us out, if you want to make it so that the bi-weekly, semi-weekly episodes are even better, then the best way to do that is actually by leaving us some juicy comments, because those give us dopamine rushes. But then also, after you leave a nice juicy comment and leave a fat sloppy like, the next thing you can do is head over to patreon.com/Futon Talks and sign up to be a patron, like my amazing brother-in-law Cody, like my amazing friend Emmett, like our amazing friend John. Oh my gosh, these guys are amazing. They've been so good to us. You should join them. Maybe you should be a little bit more like them. Maybe you should be the hero that Futon Talks needs, or even the hero that we deserve, perhaps.
Please be the one that we deserve.
Don't be the one we need. We probably need more and more adversity. Don't give us that. But But yeah, man, we love you guys. We're so grateful that we've had the chance to talk about these movies and get in depth on them and enjoy them more. And Chris, I'm grateful I got to talk to you. Is there anything you want to leave our amazing, beautiful audience with?
No, I have nothing for them.
Dang. I have nothing for them until they sign up as patrons.
Yeah.
With your debt, we leave you. We love you. Goodbye.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.
I wonder if I can make a flaming bat graphic to end.